This morning's gospel begins with Jesus saying to his disciples, "As the Father has loved me, so I have loved you. Abide in my love. If you keep my commandments, you will abide in my love, just as I have kept my Father's commandments and abide in his love. I have said these things to you so that my joy may be in you and that your joy may be complete. This is my commandment, that you love one another as I have loved you. You are my friends if you do what I command you, and I am giving you these commands so that you may love one another." In preparing for this morning's senior sermon, we have reflected on two words in particular from this gospel passage that stood out to us as words that reflect this chapter of our lives: to love and to abide. We each have taken one of these words and have prepared some thoughts on them as we look back on this past year of our lives.
Jesus' love is present. The modest word, meno, as used in the Gospel of John, means to abide. It's used to describe God's divine presence, emphasizing its present tense, continual and constant. To abide, as described by Cynthia Briggs Kittredge, is translated as to stay, to remain, or to dwell. The word also refers to Jesus' presence during his lifetime. In John 14:25, he says, "I have said these things to you while I am still with you," literally while I am staying with you. We all abide in many spaces, putting parts of ourselves in safe places where we know will be fostered and protected, sometimes passively but always presently. I know for me, I'm spread out across such a far space, with parts of me at Grace Point, parts of me in Knoxville with my family, parts of me at Cleveland High School, and parts of me here in this room surrounded by you guys. But when I step back and look at the bigger picture, the reason I'm driven to dwell in these places is because of the love I'm offered at each and every one of them. Really, there are only two emotions, love and fear, as Father Joel often reminds us. So, how do we live in love and reject fear? Naturally, we abide in both, whether we like it or not. We find comfort in fear because we fear the uncomfortable. Yet, somehow, taking part in EYC has brought me further and further from fear and closer to pure love. Not only love among us, one another, but love for my passions, love for my life, and love for God. I was scared of public speaking, but after reading in many church services, I ended up joining the show choir at my school and taking part in theater. I was scared of meeting new people. I was shy when I was younger. But with EYC events like Chatty and Grace Point that introduced me to kids just like me across this whole big area, I was able to realize that it's not too scary to talk to other people because everyone's experiencing life for the first time just like me. When I look at life that way, everything seems a little less scary. The love I feel allows me to be present in these moments. I live in them, soaking up the experience of them, and I do that because of the love that abides around me in places like this.
Words that come to mind when thinking about the love of Jesus could be unconditional, devoted, or intimate. These are good places to begin, but when reading the Gospel of John, it is clear that Jesus' love is so much more than that. Biblical scholar Cynthia Briggs Kittredge writes, "The language of friendship includes the word for to love, phileo, the word for friend, philos, and the synonym for phileo, agapao. The word agapao is where we get the word agape, which is my favorite way to describe Jesus' love. Agape has the connotation of intentionality in love, specifically in doing the right thing for the right reasons, a lesson that Jesus preached throughout the Gospels and one that my Mima has embedded into my daily life. Agape means loving someone as a friend, an intentional choice and a pursuit of a relationship that you have to work for, both when times are easy and when they are hard. This relationship that we have with Jesus is one that we have to choose and one that we have to chase, and one that I've been chasing the majority of my life. It can be challenging choosing love over fear, but I keep in mind the phrase, always do the right thing for the right reasons and God will bless you, as my Mima always says, and it makes the hard times easier to bear. The beautiful thing about actively chasing a relationship with Jesus is that he is chasing us too. So with each trial that I face, knowing that Jesus has never turned his back on me brings me an indescribable sense of peace. A way I get in tune with this peace is to abide in thin places. A thin place is where the lines between heaven and earth are blurred, and God's presence and love is present and tangible. For me, one of these places is Grace Point, our diocesan camp, where we hold retreats such as Happening. The first time I happened was a sophomore, and it was nothing short of a life-changing experience. I love this community, I felt loved by them, and agape love is in no short supply at Grace Point. About 5 months ago, Evie and I, and many others from St. Luke's and across the diocese, attended Happening 84, where I served as the youth lay rector. This experience entailed preparation unlike any project I'd undertaken, but it was also the most fulfilling. Happening 84 was the largest that our diocese has ever hosted. This was daunting in some aspects, both logistically and spiritually. I wasn't sure if I could minister to 77 people. Luckily for me, I didn't have to. I had so many people pouring into me that I was able to keep my purpose in mind. I was doing it for God. My focus was on creating an opportunity for God's love to become visible and flourish to the Happeners, especially to those who have never been greeted by a community such as ours. At Happening, we hold a closing healing service where foot washing is a major part of that. John, in chapter 13, tells the story of Jesus washing his disciples' feet, where the master serves his servants. We hear him mention servants again in this morning's passage from chapter 15, in which Jesus tells his disciples that his love for them is agape, intentional love, chosen love, and a love deepened by friendship.
As the Father has loved me, so have I loved you. Now remain in my love. If you keep my commands, you will remain in my love, just as I have kept my Father's commands and remain in his love. I have told you this so that my joy may be in you and that your joy may be complete. I no longer call you servants, because a servant does not know his master's business. Instead, I have called you friends, for everything that I learned from my Father I have made known to you. You did not choose me, but I chose you, and I appointed you so that you might go and bear fruit, fruit that will last, and so that whatever you ask in my name, the Father will give you. This is my command: love each other. When you imagine the Last Supper, do you imagine servants sitting at a table serving their master? Or do you imagine a humble friend washing the feet of those who stood beside him through everything, his closest companions? If Jesus was given more time on earth, I imagine many more of these dinners throughout his life. All his former students with their students, loving one another and abiding in that intimacy. A crowded table. Intimate but not elite. It was their first time living too. But because he didn't have enough time, Jesus taught. He preached, he promised, and he prayed. His former students took on his work and taught, passing it down through the generations. Now we get to sit here today together, still abiding in that same love, and we're so lucky. When I first joined EYC, I would have never thought it would result in all these new connections and me standing up here today with Maddie talking to you all. But here I am, and I just wanted to say a few things really fast. I love my mom, my dad, Jimmy, Hank, Mimi, Poppy, Pops, Yaya, Nana, and all the rest of my big whole family. I love Maddie so much, and obviously everyone else in EYC that I got to grow up with, along with the rest of my best friends from outside this church community, and my boyfriend Anthony, and thank you so much, Isaac, for teaching me so many important lessons as I've grown up. I wouldn't be who I am today without your influence, and I really hope you know how crucial of a part you played in all of our lives.
And now, not to copy Evie, but I also have a few people to shout out. My mom and dad, my brother Buddy, Mima, and Gigi have shaped my worldviews and been the most influential in shaping who I am. They've taught me about the world, love, and how to be a better person. I'm so inspired by them and the rest of my wonderful family. My spiritual mentors, such as Father Joel, Mackenzie Teal, Caroline Wood, and of course, Isaac Doty, have always believed in me and equipped me with all the tools I need to be a young woman strong in her faith. I love these people with all my heart and am so beyond blessed to have people like you to look up to.
Cynthia Briggs Kittredge tells us that friendship in the time of Jesus was a virtue characterized by mutual respect and goodwill. Somewhat like our modern ideals of friendship, the relationship between friends involved day-to-day companionship and assistance in crisis. Friends took risks for one another and endured suffering together. A more familiar way of talking about this language of friendship for us might be love.
That kind of love was central in creating a theme for Happening. I knew I wanted the theme to speak to the unconditional love of God and the community, and these principles led me to the baptismal covenant. What I've always loved about the Episcopal faith is how rooted in community we are, and this is evident in this covenant, where as a congregation, we recognize the role each of us plays in uplifting each other spiritually. The baptismal covenant asks, will you seek and serve Christ in all persons, loving your neighbor as yourself? It was from this question that I drew the call to action to seek, serve, and love as the Happening theme. It is the same theme we as Episcopalians are called to every day.
It was not we who chose God, but God who, in his grace, approached us with a call and made an offer out of his love. We are chosen for love. We're sent out into the world to love one another. Sometimes we live as if we are sent into the world to compete with one another, or dispute with one another, or even quarrel with one another. But Christians are to live in such a way that they show what is meant by loving our neighbors.
When I envisioned what my life would look like after graduation, I had no idea where to even begin. I couldn't imagine what kind of friends I would have, what my college classes would look like, or who even I would be living with. My mind was blank, and this put me in a bit of a panic. I forgot that Jesus had already figured it out, and I let my anxieties get the best of me. Without this church, the support of the congregants, my huge family, and my dearest friends, I would not have come this far. However, I did not come this far to only come this far, and I'm very excited to see what God has in store for me. I've decided to attend Tennessee Technological University this fall, majoring in communications with a focus in journalism. I'm already involved in on-campus activities, such as the Division I athletic program with the Golden Eagle dance team, and have a paid editorial position on the yearbook staff. While I haven't yet figured out where these experiences will lead me in the future, I feel called to ministry and serving the church, specifically with the youth. This is due in part to the strong community fostered here at St. Luke's and the diocese by the mentors and leaders I've grown so close to. Cannot wait to see how God will continue working in my life with all the people I will get to meet and get to love.
I'm going to be attending East Tennessee State University in Johnson City this fall. I'll be majoring in marketing with a concentration in fashion marketing and merchandising. I'm so excited, and I can't wait to find even more love to abide in all the way over there and grow my circle even bigger. I honestly don't know what I want to be when I grow up, but I know it'll all get figured out because I have so many people who will support me as I keep on growing up and learning. So, thank you, St. Luke's, for loving us all this time. Thank you for being our community and showing us Jesus. Thank you for showing us the kind of people we want to be in this world. Thank you for being our home where we can abide in Jesus' love.
Amen.
Amen.